Welcome to Garrett CompSci. This is CS Principles, Unit 3, Lesson 2, Introduction to Design Mode. Let's start with a warm-up. Think of your favorite or most used non-social media app. Describe the functionality of the app, along with some of its inputs and outputs. Functionality refers to what the app does. This is related but not quite the same as the purpose of the app. The purpose is what it was built for or what it was built to help us accomplish. The functionality is what the app actually does. So you would describe it using action words. The app does this, then this, then this. And then inputs and outputs have been discussed earlier. Inputs are data provided to the app by the user in the form of button clicks, or typing in a text box, or maybe using your voice on a microphone. And outputs are data provided back to the user in the form of changing what's displayed on a screen, or playing some sounds, or causing the device to vibrate, among other possibilities. So those give information back to the user. I suggest that you go ahead and pause this video and actually carry out this prompt. Think of a real app that you use and answer these questions in complete sentences, because these are the kinds of questions that you're very likely to be asked on test day, on AP exam day, about the Create Task project that you create yourself. But for now, let's dive into the activity, which is to explore design mode on AppLab. AppLab has two main modes, code mode and design mode. And design mode would usually be done first, and that's where we design the screens that we want on our app. And we put elements, things that the user can see and perhaps interact with, on those screens. So what we're building here is a vocab word we saw last lesson, the user interfaces of our app. So let's dive in to Level 1. Level 1 says, look at the elements on this screen. It's one we've seen before. Try to move some of them around. What properties can you change? And is there anything that you can't change? So here's an image of flowers. You can click on that and we see that the properties for that element pop up here in the workspace. We can move it around by click and drag. We can click and drag the corner to resize. You might expect all of that. Okay, and then what properties can you change about this? You can change the name of the ID for that element. So I could say flowers image instead if I wanted. You've got the width and height and X position and Y position of that image. Here's where you choose the image. We'll see some more of that in a minute. How the image is displayed in that box, the border, etc. Let's click on some other kinds of elements, like this is a button, the next button. Has an element ID. It doesn't have any text. Instead, it has an image, which is the right arrow. So you see that there. And then you've got colors involved, so the icon color and the border color. The border is black, but it has 0 width, so there is no border. So you can click around here and notice some of those things about the properties of the elements. Let's go to Level 2. Click on the screen element. So if we drag around here, we see that the screen is just the background. And we want to match the theme of this picture here. We want it to look like this. And so in the Design toolbox, there's a Theme drop-down, and that'll change the properties of all of the elements at once to make them all have similar aesthetics, colors, and fonts, and things like that. So we can choose from these themes. And this spooky one here is called Area 51. So now it matches what we have over here. And again, that just tweaked a bunch of the properties of all of the elements already put on the screen. All right, let's go to level 3. This one we're trying to make the app screen match again. Notice that everything is already correct except the colors. And so here we're exploring how to update colors in the Properties workspace. If you want to change a color, in the color field you can type the name of a common color like white or even magenta and things like that. Or you can type an RGB value like this with RGB and parentheses, the red element, comma, green, comma, blue. And each of those values needs to be between 0 and 255 inclusive. You can review RGB colors in Unit 1. You can also use the color swatch to open a convenient color picker. So we want the background here, screen, to have the background color of this purple. So let's first try purple like that. It's a little different. So instead you can use the color picker and you can move this around till it looks about right. And you can use this down here to get a different part of the spectrum. That looks pretty good. Alternatively, you can use, like I said, the RGB. So I found one that's already pretty close. RGB 89 for red, 105 for green, and 231 for blue. Oh, that's the wrong one. RGB 51097. There we go. That's pretty close. Now let's go to the title. The title needs to be white. So down here I'll just select all of this and type white. Good. Now all this right here, this instruction or this label here, information about my app, as well as these buttons are all the same color. So I'll click on one of these buttons. And I've gotten a background color RGB value for that as well. 174 for red, 0 for green, and 157 for blue. Nice. I'll copy and paste that into the color portion, background color, for all those other things. There we go. And this one, info text. Oops. Good. And now the last thing I need to do is change this bell icon to that nice blue color. And again, I got an RGB ready for that. RGB 89, 105, 231. Looks pretty close. So everything matches now. So there are those 3 different ways of selecting colors. Let's move on to level 4. In this level, we're just practicing how to add an image to your app screens. You can download a picture and upload it to your assets. So get something from your computer. You could also use a link from the internet, or you can select from an icon library by clicking right here. So we click on the image after we've dragged it over here from the design toolbox. And then you go in the properties and select choose. And then here are those 3 options: upload a file, paste a link, or choose an icon. And this says to go find a picture of a cat and put it on there. So I've got a Google image search of Grumpy Cat here. And you can right click on the image and go to copy image address. All right, and then go back and paste that in, submit, and you've got the image, which you can drag around and resize, and you can also adjust other properties. For example, I could make a border. All right, moving on to 5. movie times. We want to make it match this picture just by adding these two icons. Icons are still images, so we drag two image elements on. This one's going to be, we click on this one and then we choose the image. This one's going to be a video camera, so I'll search for camera. There's video camera. And then this one is some film. So I'll search icons for film. Great. And I can make them a little smaller so they'll fit nicely. And you can adjust that more carefully if you like. And there we go. All right, level 6. Level 6 is this cookie clicker. And it says it's important that all of your elements have meaningful names. They should suggest what the element is. When we begin programming our apps, you'll control each element on the screen using its ID. So we want our code to refer to things in a natural way and we know what they're talking about. So having this one be called button 1, that's not very descriptive. So let's click on it and change that to play button. And notice there are no spaces. You cannot put any spaces. And the tradition is to make the first word lowercase. And if there are more than one word, every word after the first word is capitalized. So play button, lowercase capital. That's called camel case. Change the rest of the element IDs to meaningful names that describe the function of each element. So let's go to this one right here. That's an image 1, but let's say it's cookie image. All right. And then this one is cookie clicker is the title, so let's call it title label. Notice my capitalization. This is click the cookie, so those are instructions, so instructions label maybe. And then we got everything else. Oh, there's screen 1. There's only one screen on this app, but let's call it home screen. And then later we'll do some apps that have more than one screen, so giving them meaningful names is also important. Now let's move to level 7. Level 7 is the most in-depth. You're combining all the skills you've got so far to imitate, to recreate this design. Right? A practice log, I'm assuming it's for someone practicing piano and they want to, or any instrument. And they'll select what time they practiced and type in the name of the instrument they're practicing and hit add record. But we just need to build the screen, and later we'll learn how to tell it how to do those things. All right, first, maybe we want to get a label for the top, and it doesn't look anything like that yet. But we know we can change the background color of the whole text box so we can get that dark blue. So let's type in here first, call this a title label. Give it that meaningful name. And the text it should display is practice log. And the text color should be white. Let's hold off on that. The background color. Okay, what if all of this is a theme already? I bet it is. So let's look through here. There's polar. That looks right. And it did all of that for me. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to drag this to go all the way across like that. And now I need to change a few of the properties here. I need to make the text size larger. I need to make it centered. I need to change the font. I think this one is Palatino. That looks right. Might not be perfect, but that's okay. All right, and now I need to add those icons maybe next. So we'll go over to our design toolbox and get some images, 2 images. This one will be music icon, and we will choose an icon and search for music. There it is. And it is yellow. So I can search there, or I can just type yellow and see if that's good. Yeah, it looks great. So I'll drag that over and resize it. Great. Now this one, the same thing. This is headphones icon, and choose headphones, and again it's yellow. Put it over here after I've resized it. Good. All right, and now we need this piano image. You can go search Google Images or similar to find a piano that'll stretch across. I actually just took a screenshot and cropped down to just that piano. So I'm going to add an image, and I bet that's okay. So I'm going to add that image, and I already saved it onto my desktop, so I'll upload file, and it'll be in my files, and I've already uploaded it here. So you hit choose, and there we go. I'm gonna drag it all the way across and then adjust it. All right, looks good. Now we need this big area here. This is what's called a text area. And it looks like it doesn't have a border, so you can take off the border if you want. So border width 0. There we go. Text area can just display a lot of text, and that's probably what they'll want there. Great. Now we want a drop down here. Drop down. And we need to make sure we continue labeling things. That's image 3. I'll call that piano image. And this is log area, like the practice log area. And this is the time drop down. And what options does it have? You show them 1 per line, and it says 8 a.m. as the default, so I need to just assume 8 a.m. is the first one. And what I'm going to do is I've already grabbed those over here, so you can type them in. I typed them 1 per line. And now we've got 8 a.m. showing up, and when we run it, we can see all of those options. All right, anything else about that one? That one looks good. We just need to resize it a little bit. Drag it around. All right, now this is a text input box. Let's put it like that and resize it and drag it around. And the placeholder text is what's shown in there. It's like instructions for what they should type. So let's call it instrument like they have, and it shows up kind of faded like that. And we'll call that instrument input. Okay, and the last thing is a button. Where's button? There we go, button. And we'll say this is the add button. And the text should be add record. Good. and it looks like it has a yellow border. So let's go to border color and type yellow. And that's not thick enough, so a little bit thicker right there, like that. And I'll resize it a little to look nice. Good. All right, and we have replicated this whole screen, and we've provided meaningful IDs for each element. Oh, the one thing we haven't done, we haven't given the screen a name. Like I said, this is only one screen, so it matters a little less, but screen 1 we want to be called home screen or practice log or something like that, whatever. And on this drop down now we see all these nice meaningful IDs where we know what it's talking about instead of just a bunch of numbered names. All right, and that's all for this lesson. What elements that we looked at collect input? Well, we had buttons and we had text inputs and various things like that. Output might have been an image or maybe even a text area. We'll see more about this later. And there are some things that could do both. We could make a button that that allows us to click. The user can give input by clicking on the button, and then it can give us some output information, maybe about like when you click on it, the image that shows up on the button changes to something else, for example. So there are things that can do both, and we'll see all of this as we continue in this unit. That's all for this lesson, and I'll see you back here for the next lesson. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already to see all that's to come. Goodbye.